Mary nodded vigorously and exclaimed, "Oh yes, Mother Goddess, yes. I would have forgiven him his little peccadillos if he had only given me a baby. I've wanted a little baby of my own since I was a little girl. I wouldn't do anything to hurt my baby. Look at him, he's adorable." He yawned sleepily and stretched his small fat arms and clenched his tiny fists. John turned his head and nestled it between her arm and her breast. "He's so small and helpless," she whispered, her heart melting at the sight of her ex-husband snuggled protectively in her arms. John woke at the sound of her voice and whimpered softly. Mary stroked his hair affectionately and Diana said, "I think you should change his dirty diaper now, Mary. You don't want him to get a bad case of diaper rash, do you?" Mary got up from the chair and carefully laid her baby on the floor. She unfastened his diaper and held up his feet in her hand while she cleaned his dirty bottom with a baby wipe. The cold paper wipe made Johnny shiver as she cleaned every crevice and fold on his behind. She took another diaper and slid it beneath him. She opened the jar of Vaseline one-handed and applied a thick coating of jelly to his abused bottom. She laid his bottom gingerly down on the diaper and wiped the Vaseline off her hand with a clean wipe. Mary sprinkled baby powder on his hairless crotch and rubbed it into his pee-pee expertly, making him squeal in pleasure. When she was finished, she taped him securely into the fresh diaper. Mary tickled him on his tummy and cooed, "Mary's baby likes that, doesn't he?" He grabbed her finger in answer and held on tightly. Mary picked him up and sat with him again on the rocking chair, cradling him in her arm. Diana put her hand upon Mary's shoulder and said, "It is time for my blessing, Mary. Look at me. You will be his mother in all things. You will know all the joys and pleasures of motherhood. He is your baby now, and will give you delights you have not dreamed of. This is the token of my favor and my promise." She stood smiling behind Mary and touched her on her breasts. Mary immediately felt a strange tingling sensation where the goddess's hands had lain. A rush of energy swelled her bosom, filling them to bursting with a warm throbbing glow. Mary said, "What have you done to me?" The goddess smiled gently and said, "I've granted you the highest joy of motherhood. You will nourish him with your body. You and he will become one. Come, Mary, it is time to suckle your baby." She unbuttoned her blouse diffidently and held him close to her breast with one arm as she reached under her blouse and lifted out her breast. Mary was surprised at how heavy her breast seemed. When she looked down to guide it to his mouth, she gasped in shock. It was huge. Diana chuckled and said, "Yes, Mary, you've changed. Your breasts are filled with milk to nurse your little baby. Feed your baby, Mary. Both of your lives have been moving toward this moment from the minute you were born. Give your child suck and be complete." She brushed the nipple against his lips and was delighted when he immediately took the tit into his mouth and began sucking. His tiny hands kneaded her breast as he sucked, causing little jets of milk to squirt into his mouth. Mary moaned happily. She had never dreamed nursing was this pleasurable for a woman. "Now you know the joy of nursing," said Diana. "You will breastfeed him 3 times each day, and each time that you feed him, your pleasure will grow. You are truly his mother. He feels your pleasure as well. Behold the look on his face." A blissful expression radiated from his face as lay in her arms gorging himself on his mother's milk. His legs kicked out languidly as he suckled her tit. She smiled lovingly at him and switched him to her other breast, cradling his diapered bottom in her hand. "Diddums like Mommy's TID. Mommy promises she'll breastfeed you every day. Mommy likes breastfeeding her baby," she said emphatically. Mary chuckled and said, "You were always good at sucking beasts when you were a man, baby. Now you'll get all the TID you want. You'll be Mommy's little TID baby forever and ever, sweetheart," she said, caressing him tenderly with her hand while he suckled. When he finished, Mary held him to her shoulder and bubbled him. Then she buttoned her blouse, knelt before Diana with baby Johnny in her arms and thanked the goddess profusely. Diana assured her it was her pleasure, bade her rise and saw the grateful mother and baby to the door. Diana sat down in the rocking chair with the sigh of a job well done. It wasn't easy to be a 20,000-year-old mother goddess these days. She had gone to sleep for a mere 1,000-year nap and woken to find the world in a shambles. The world had forgotten how to honor and respect the sacredness of motherhood. Men had become raving beasts intent on stealing the affections of the great mother they had lost. She intended to make personal visitations on the worst of them. There was so much work to do and so many changes to be made. She rocked the hours away as she considered who would be next to taste her bounteous milk. She had so much to offer mankind.